Hey, look,
And if I've ever seen one.
the intro is not as long as it used to be, right? So that's how you know it's all off now.
Look, it's the same. It's the same. You know what? I think I was muted the whole time, so let me go back and do this. Welcome to We Are Something Else, episode 92. One more road to cross. It's your boy Kaleo. There's CB. There's E Rich. Yeah. We on time. We got a little rocky tonight, but look, everything can't be perfect. But we here. So, fellas, what's good with you?
Hey, man. Another Thursday. Again, work has just been crazy. So it feels like, we were just here not that long ago. So, pumped to, get to spend some time with the fellas.
Yeah. Shout out to Moms, who's first to comment. E, what's good with you, bro?
I made the mistake playing basketball for the first time in over 10 plus years. And, I just heard it in the back of my head the whole time. You suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. And I was just like, I was like 1 for 4 from 3-point land. It was pretty bad. You know what? Good cardio though. And I think that's how, when you get older, that's what you look forward to, is what you get the benefits out of that. But, other than that, man, look, it's Thursday. Work was a little rocky today. Cali about to change tiers. I believe Monday, the 12th, they go to a different tier, and then they had talked about opening up in June. So a lot of stuff that I, got to go in the office and take care of some stuff before the others go in, because I definitely won't be there. But yeah, man, just it's Thursday. Got some working, so we here. Right.
Yeah. I went and got my 5G today. I'm officially in the mix of being in the 5G group. Got the shot today. Round one of the vaccine. So, yeah, it was. It's round one. I don't know what to expect round two. Arms a little sore. That motivated me to go work out and do shoulders tonight. Been killing the heavy rope, the jump rope, and the speed rope, heavy rope, and then cardio, and did some weights today. So, that's what it was. Lesson learned today. When you go get your shot, and the doctor, puts you in the room to get your shot, the shot is in your arm. You don't want to be told by the doctor to pull your pants up. We all got to learn somehow, right? Lesson learned. Hey, but we're here. We made it.
That's real.
We made it. So with that, it's been a minute. Let's wrap. Where are we going to start this week? Let's start with this. I'm going to dive into it last week, but we didn't get there. So let's start this week. This is there you go. This is right here. That's Derek Chauvin. He is the murderer of George Floyd. And his trial is a big trial that's going on past couple weeks. And it's one of those things where I didn't want to watch, but it's like kind of every time you don't want to look, you look and get yourself caught up in just watching it. just because you want to see what kind of defense they can possibly put together. What words can they possibly put together to sway, was it 12 people in a jury, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
To sway 12 people into believing what they saw on video didn't necessarily happen that way. Before I dive into my spiel, we can kind of go around robin on this, but have you guys been paying attention to it or in the highlights?
CB, you got this one. Go ahead.
I feel like the highlights are unavoidable. At least for all the accounts I follow on the socials. You know, whenever there's a new sound bite or a witty remark made, you know, they were profiling one of the dudes that took the stand. He got a little bit of attitude with the one lawyer in the defense or whatever, and
Yep.
you know, it's like, so I'm not actively paying attention to it,
Right.
mostly because, like I said, work has been crazy, so my attention has just been other places. But
Right.
it, like, the highlights are unavoidable, just because, yeah, I'm still going on social media, and so I'm catching the play-by-play, you know, like I'm on the sideline.
Yep.
Yeah, I second that. I you know, my Dukes watches it, you know, and I don't think that I can be as attentive to it and trying to work, because I think the initial thing is, you know, you get mad from watching the video over and over again. You get mad that we're having to justify, you know, what is easily identified as murder, you know. And then, you know, you get to the point where you don't want to be desensitized too much, because we have been. It's always that fine line of, you hope, but we've been in this position and we've also not come out on the side that we would have wanted to.
Right.
I low key, you know, I made the comment to my Dukes. I said, you know, unfortunately, you know, in my lifetime, I was around, you know, when Rodney King happened, and actually we were, you know, we actually lived in an apartment complex that was right next to where they pulled them over at the time. And you realize of what happened on that magnitude, that kind of day and age and time in the 90s. If this goes down the wrong way, it's going to be at times, you know, a nuclear bomb if this happens the wrong way. So it's one of those, like, I don't want to watch it happen. So I'm it's like one of those things I'm just gonna, you know, kind of like slowly kind of
Right.
this every once in a while. But I hope it works. You know, the thing is, instead of praying, and I know that's the initial thing, is that I'm hoping, because I know what the ramifications is if this goes left.
Right. And I think that, again, you know, we find out that it was longer than 8 minutes. Oh, you know, it's now 9 minutes that he was on his neck. But that's the thing. We've seen this before, and every time we've seen it, it gets more clear cut than ever. But it's almost like we have to train ourselves, you know, to prepare for the worst. And then at some point, you know, well, if the better of it comes, then, you know, bam, it's a win. But you almost have to train yourself again ahead of time to be like, well, we've seen this before, because all it takes at some point is one out of 12, and that's it. And so I want to talk about the defense attorney real quick. I mean, I don't know if homeboy, he's I guess he's part of the union, the police union. So it's almost, I don't know if he had to take it, if he volunteered for it, but I mean, he's throwing darts, you know, in a dark room, just hoping one of them lands, you know. And their defense right now is hostile crowd. You know, the cops couldn't render aid or do anything because the crowd had grown hostile and they felt threatened. Right. So the last time I checked, you know, when you're sworn in as a police officer, you're sworn into your duties. Every crowd is going to be different regardless. Every day is not going to be a good day, right? And your job, I mean, you sign up to be an officer to, enforce laws. Everybody doesn't abide by laws. So everybody's not going to go quiet or all this, but, you have to prepare for those things. And to say that these cops who had guns were in fear, so much in fear that they didn't call for backup. It was just those four.
Right.
A
lot of it doesn't add up, like you said, just throwing darts and hoping something sticks. Like, I hope that it's one of those things where it's unfortunate that we have to mentally prepare ourselves like this. You know what I mean? Like, is it possible that, he gets made an example of? Yeah, it's possible. But we know that there have been cases recently where we thought it was open and shut and things didn't go the way that we thought it should go, So it's tough. It's really tough because it's right there in front of us.
Right.
You've all seen the video. I don't know how many times.
Several.
Like it's literally like them trying to make us believe something that's different than we saw with our own eyes.
Right. And then today, well, let me back up a little bit. So, it can be emotionally draining seeing that. Like the first time you see it without context, it comes across social media and you're watching it, and automatically, I mean, it just draws you in because you see a man's life being taken with the slow burn on camera, and 4 people who were in control of the situation because he was cuffed, he was down, did nothing to change the outcome. Now, I'm interested don't put the cart before the horse, but I would like to see the next 3 trials, how the other 3 guys, how that's going to work. But just talking about like emotionally draining because of the witnesses, like if you watch the video, you've heard the one guy that's narrating through the whole video, the black guy who was the martial arts specialist talking to Tao, the police officer, check him. Everybody's yelling, check him. From him to the lady that's the EMT or firefighter, check him. Nothing, right? So to relive that over and over again and to hear their words, it's just draining. Then you get the 61-year-old man who just was trying to tell him, just calm down, you can't win, talking to George Floyd. But he got up there and he got up there and cried. I mean, how could you not watch that, just feel emotionally invested? I mean, we're all drawn in. We know it's murder. And whether it's intention or not, you killed him. You could have, at some point along the line, you could have got up and changed the whole narrative of the scenario. So,
I think it beckons. I think it draws out that emotion more so of. Here's the crazy part. Not even so much watching the video again, but watching the bystanders helplessly watch him
and can't do nothing.
And it's it's that moment. I think I don't know if it was not a blog. It must have been something that I saw. People like it's crazy because you see people get in car accidents and people run to the scene to like make sure that person's okay, whether they try to lift it. You heard about lifting cars up, trying to get people pinned underneath there, trying to open the doors to see if anybody's there. The natural instinct of people to want to help other people who are in a time of distress or need, and the simple fact that you had this dude or these dudes, right? Because it's not just him. The other dudes that just sat there and was too scared to do something. I think that's more of the chilling factor, if you will. Like that would be my Rob Zombie movie, is the effects of the person that can't do nothing when you're sitting there watching the other people, go through a certain type of pain, a certain type of torture, the physical thing that mentally that they're gonna go through, right? Because think about that, like the EMT, like that's that's what she does, or the firefighter. You know, like these are the things that they are embedded to do, is to help people. And if that is the thing that you are trained and that you do as a job, and you can't, or you're helpless in that moment, can you imagine how that affects you going forward? You know what I mean? So it's crazy.
Yeah, and the comments are right. I agree. Those people involved, witnesses, the one they would need therapy. The human mind, just untrained to anything else, is not meant to. We can adapt to things, but if you've never seen something like that before, that will traumatize you, right? And back to the defense of feeling guilty. I mean, not feeling guilty, feeling threatened by the crowd. Yeah, the crowd was yelling obscenities. Well, the crowd was also yelling, "Check his pulse, do CPR, get off his neck." They were yelling other things. Those are the things they were yelling first before they even started yelling any obscenities. So it's like you can't just pick one or two comments out of a few people and figure that's what they also said help the man. And yeah, it's, and then the teenager who, let's go back to the bill. The teenager is the one who recognized that the bill was fake, the $20 bill, right? Apparently, the guy who gave George Floyd the $20 bill was in the store earlier trying to spend the fake $20 bill. The teen recognized it, gave it back to him, like, nah, it's fake. The guy when they returned, gave Floyd the $20 bill to spend. The kid checked it, the same thing. This time they called the cops. So he's kind of traumatized too, because he said he could have just ate that $20 out of his pocket and everything would be different. So there's a lot of guilt for people who aren't to blame, that people are going to need therapy forever because of this.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's like PTSD, basically. What these guys are going to be dealing with. They're going to be. They probably see this replaying. When they go to sleep. Like, I couldn't imagine that kind of stuff, man.
Right. And you had 7 or 8 year olds that were witnesses. They couldn't show them on camera, but they were there. They interviewed them. At a certain point, I think, I don't know how many witnesses the state has. I mean, they're really trying to, show you every angle that the defense is going to try to take, and they're just trying to nip it in the bud before it even gets there. They were saying at some point, like, too many witnesses. At some point, somebody may contradict something somebody else said earlier, and that could open up a hole in your case a little bit. But then you just have to narrow back down. Like today, I watched, they had a guy who volunteered. He was a medical professional, was a doctor, whatever. But he pretty much said, when the defense was up there, they brought up, he was a cigarette smoker. He took fentanyl. All of a sudden, they're trying to paint this picture of all these things that couldn't be. And then just to state, the guy got back up and was like, okay, let's nip this in the bud. He brought up fentanyl. Fentanyl normally puts you in a coma. Did George Floyd ever slip into a coma? No. So everything, they're on their game. And we just got to hope that once this is over with, and I wouldn't even know if if he would be the example, because the cop that killed both them, John, she got put away. I don't know, if I can't remember how much time she got, but they tried to make the example out of her, in which it should have been.
That's the thing, man. She's a woman. Like, it was easy. That's easy for them to do. Like, if it's different when it's a white male, bro. It's different when it looks like my dad. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Yep. I get it. I mean, and I don't know how long. I think it's going to last for a month or so. This is going to be a drawn out trial. This is going to be here for a while. But all I know is just,
the news wants it that way too.
Of course. I mean, it takes the attention off some other things. But I mean, it's got people drawn in, just hoping for a different scenario.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of different scenarios, let's switch it up a little bit. Oh boy. I didn't know he had it in him. That's all I'm going. I didn't know. I didn't see this one coming. Unfortunately, Everybody on social media saw it coming. I didn't. So if you don't know who that is, this is Paul Pierce. The Truth, as who named that? Shaq.
Shaq gave him.
Yeah, The Truth. Former Boston Celtic great. He was one of the members of the original Big Three. He kind of helped get big key, that started that wave. Former New Jersey Net, former Washington Wizard.
Hit some big shots for the Wizards.
Yeah. Former Clipper. And now former ESPN analyst Paul Pierce. You guys, I'm assuming by your laughs, you're familiar with this story.
Yeah.
All right, since you're in Cali, you're close to the source. Let's start with you.
Whether or not people understand, like these cats, the lifestyle that they live doesn't change just because they're not in the league no more. Like let's get that out there, right? If these cats don't already have families, as in wives, kids, the whole nine, like you've never seen him pinned with a certain person, right? Or kids. Like he's still that one that's still out there. You see like a Matt Barnes, but you see him talking about his two sons, right? And clearly everybody knows about his situation that he had with his ex-wife and Derek Fisher. But look at what it is, from that perspective of it. I think he summed it up. It's just like if that's the way that he lives life outside of the company, it just was stupid on his.
Let me give you some context. I really didn't go into. Everybody's laughed. I thought people who may watch this may not know what Paul Pierce did. So Paul Pierce, I guess I don't know if it was at. It doesn't matter where he was at. He went live with strippers in the background dancing, and he made it really clear that's what he wanted to focus on in his live. He's got one behind him, one on the ground dancing. Then later he posted pictures with him with a joint in his mouth, just living it up. Like, Paul Pierce having fun. And you can tell he was clearly intoxicated when he went live because that's probably what motivated him to do it.
He was taking shots, like it was on video. And the thing that actually really makes me laugh is someone had said, like, yo, man, this dude got fired for going live and having like 350 people watching, like clowning the numbers or whatever. But I mean, it's one of those things where when you work for a company, the company can establish whatever they feel like is the rules as far as hurting their brand, right? Because if Paul Pierce worked down the street at Mickey D's and did that, he's still being asked to show up for his shift on Saturday night. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if what he did besides, being not smart given, him being a working professional, but we don't need to act like he really probably needs this money. He doesn't need the ESPN money, most likely. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I don't necessarily believe it was a fireable offense. Maybe, when you're on video with the joint in your mouth and all that stuff, like, okay.
That part.
But like the idea of just having dancers on video and, drinking and doing some of that, like, I don't know if that's necessarily a fireable offense, but it's way funnier. It is way funnier that it is. And the fact that it's Paul Pierce, because honestly, he should have been fired just off of his analyst skills. Like, let's be real. Paul Pierce is not, he's not the best.
CP, thank you for just allowing that segue into what we really should be talking about, how he was the worst person that they have. They have so many others that have come and gone, and he still, first of all, it's hard to even watch him on there because I feel like when he had that banner when he was like he was better than D Wade, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna watch him.
He was a hater.
Like, when he
hated.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a thing of confidence and cockiness, and he still exudes that, and that's the reason why he was a Boston Celtic, because the Lakers wouldn't have took him with that bullshit. But anyway, I mean, just like you said, is it a fireable offense depending on, but you look at ESPN, which you gotta take it a step deeper. ESPN's owned by Disney. Disney, different type of outlook that
educated queen dropped that knowledge.
Right. So that it's not ESPN that fired him. It was Disney that was like, this brand that we create, and that's not what we looking for, right? And especially with them and their streaming services, their numbers, they still trying to build up on that. What he did was just not. It wasn't bad, but it also wasn't good. You know what I mean? It wasn't
smart.
Yeah. Looked like he had a lot of fun getting fired.
Well, not only that, but then the post after the fact, just the fact that he hit him with the.
Okay. He shrugged it off.
Right.
But if you're that unbothered, like, then you realize it is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna apologize for the fun that I had, and if that was in my spot, the only dumb part, like I said, I think he's old enough. He's in that generation of you ain't got to show everything. So,
right.
What are you boasting it for?
And why? Exactly. What made you?
She's so stupid. We don't know for certain. He'd be running some underground stuff at Disney where nobody.
Well, Disney does have a lot of back doors, a lot of secret things. We need to get Noah on here. Noah know all about all those back doors at Disney.
Right. Give us the expose.
I mean, I guess what they're saying, fireable offense for who he is. Yes, CB and I and E-Rich probably would have been right out the door. But we have had other analysts get caught. Look at Marv Albert. Still commentates every Sunday. Warren Sapp, he stayed on for a while. Michael Irvin. So Michael Irvin is probably the worst. I mean, him and Marv Albert worst out all of them, and they still got jobs. So Paul Pierce,
because what do those guys have? They have some ability behind the mic and in front of the camera.
Right. They were good at what they did.
Paul Pierce, replaceable as far as that goes. Like, this isn't the late 2000s, early 2010s where we need a bucket Paul Pierce like that. Like, this isn't. We're not giving him the ball in crunch time on the ESPN show. You know what I mean? Right, I don't want him being the anchor leg. Get off. Like, no thanks.
Showtime was good.
Listen. We can bring Scotty back. I'll listen to Scotty slow ass analyst over Paul Pierce any day.
Right. You can put Paul on the local commentating. I mean, I'm not heartbroken that he's gone. Whatever. So you did what you did.
Like I said, I'm just glad that he went out the funny way, because it's way more hilarious the way that he did go out, rather than us just catching the news wire that ESPN released him.
Right, I knew it was coming. I saw that one coming. This right here. I don't know how many of you guys watch Versus on Easter, but it was Ozzy Brothers versus Earth, Wind, and Fire, hosted by Steve Harvey, D Nice on the ones and twos. Well put together.
You mean DJ Nice?
DJ Nice, or Nice as we called him at one point. Nice. Go ahead, Nice. But real quick, the after the spoof, the segment with Spice, Avion Crockett, and Godfrey. That was hilarious.
Hey, that fool Steve Harvey down pat.
Godfrey, he made it. Like, Spice and Avion are normally pretty funny, but Godfrey took it to a whole nother level. He was on point with Steve, and they just let him go. You can just tell.
He's hilarious. Like, I saw him at the Improv, and I was in stitches the entire show. Like, he's just a funny dude, and you're right. He nailed the Steve Harvey impressions. I was beside myself.
Yeah. So yeah. So after this, that everybody jumped all over Ron Osley. He was trending Zaddy, all this and all that. But then the picture, I don't know if you guys saw the picture that floated around. Y'all talking about this guy? And it was like him. Look, he didn't have the beard. His hair was all wild. His teeth was all big. Completely different from the Mr. Biggs you saw that night. But anyway, what I was going to say about the verses is you don't realize almost 95% of those songs that were played from Earth, Wind & Fire and Ozzy Brothers were sampled. Like, as soon as you hear drops, you're like, and Diddy took half of them. Like, half of those you can rap Biggie verses to. But you don't realize, like, how timeless that music is. First of all, the music is great. But then when you go into track for track, you're like, oh my God, like, how many samples came out of just In Between the Sheets alone? I mean, these guys, the residuals these guys are getting from these samples are just ridiculous.
You gotta look at it. Somebody in the comment section on IG, like, how you been on for 3-4 hours of nothing but songs, and you still got more after that.
You still ain't played everything.
Like, the fact is, when they were sitting there, like, the Isley Brothers, I think they said they started in either 57, 59. You look on, they've been around and have constantly dropped hits or have had a prominent, album or some type of song that's been out. And people dropping, them dropping the information that other people didn't know, sitting there telling people, like, they keep playing the certain song that everybody thinks of the Beatles, and really it was the Isley Brothers that came out with it. So it really like the pen that cats had way back when, and just the way that it was. But all in all, man, listen, it was a great show. I think really at the end of the day, it further just shows like what music can do. You know what I mean? As far as just change the landscape. That one day, you would have thought that your parents felt like, they was back in their heyday. You know what I'm saying? And the comments just didn't help. Helped it all the greater. But good.
I'm answering her. I don't even know if they played Voice. I was not favored by them. Voice and Lance. They may have. I can't. But like I said, there was a lot of songs left off of. I mean, I guess he had to put Contagious in there too. My bad. You go ahead.
Nah, but yeah, that's all I was saying. Like, the catalog in itself, bro. Like you said, there's too many to pick from. I think they were asking, like, well, how do they pick the songs, and how do you know what goes up against what? And I'm like, it's hard because you can sit there and do it, but and the crazy part was everybody was like, oh, Earth, Wind, and Fire is gonna kill it, and I'm just thinking like, well, the Isleys got a dumb amount of catalog that Ernie just sitting there like, I wrote this song, and everybody looking like, damn, Ernie, you wrote that one too.
To me, it was tough at first. I thought the Ozzy's Ozzy Brothers probably have more songs. Now, are we talking hits for a different though? But yeah, they've got how many, like 20, whatever. I mean, they've got a bunch of records. I still think that Earth, Wind, and Fire definitely had a lot more hits that didn't get put on the show.
Are you for real?
I'm serious. I think the Ozzy Brothers had more hits that didn't get played because think about it. To me,
wait, you just switched it up? Earth, Wind, and Fire didn't have more hits?
I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire had hits left off that did not get played.
Really?
Yes. And because if you look at what Ozzy Brothers played towards the end, they played a song that came out in 2019 with Ron Osley and his wife. Don't nobody give a shit about that song. That's not a hit.
And understand it. And what did Earth, Wind, and Fire put towards that song?
Garbage.
This is what I'm saying. What I'm saying,
go ahead.
Not in a bad way, but what I'm saying is, so let's just put it out there right now. If the last two songs, I know it was September versus what?
September was against Ozzy Brothers' biggest hit. There was I gotta look. Whatever wasn't nothing competing against September though.
Are you serious? See, and I think that's you and that younger generation, right? Because you'll say that, but like you'll sit there and say the "I Got Work to Do" song, the the Between the Sheets can stand up against September by itself.
Yeah, but they played that all right. Like nothing the Ozzy Brothers played at the end was going to beat September. They had already pinned all that good stuff early. Go ahead, do the
last two songs that they both played. The last two were their biggest hits on both sides, and everybody knew September was going to be last, and everybody knew whatever the Ozzy Brothers hadn't played in their biggest catalog, that was what they was going to play last as well.
Somebody in the comments, do us a solid. Just look up the last two songs of the verses. Let us know who's that lady.
Are you kidding me? Somebody made in the comments, bro. Like, who's that lady? They play that shit on every commercial. Somebody was like, matter of fact, they said, dog, when you hear that song, you want to go buy a Nissan.
Who's that lady? Okay. When you hear September, come on now.
See?
No, come on now. Come on. Who's that lady is a good song. Again, another highly sampled song. A great song.
That's weird. So I would be interested to see what did you have the final out of the 20, because they clearly went beyond.
I mean, I wasn't scoring at all, but I just know that more Earth, Wind, and Fire hits got left off than the Ozzy Brothers had left in the tank.
Which ones are you thinking specifically?
There's a lot.
How to defend this?
There's a lot. So I'm gonna I should have had the list, but there's a lot of songs from Earth, Wind, and Fire that did not get put on the list. That did not, because there's just too many. And again, some with Ozzy Brothers as well. But you can't tell me that there was a lot of hits. Listen, a lot of songs don't necessarily mean a lot of hits. You can be writing songs and making music forever.
Bro, the Ozzy Brothers got Earth, Wind, and Fire, I think by what?
About a few years.
Yeah. So how you not think that they was gonna already do that? Like they first
September is a family barbecue song.
First of all, they first major cut. The first major cut shout is. Are you serious?
I didn't say. Look, they played shout.
But I understand.
We need to go against what wasn't played.
But do you understand how big that for that to be on their first go round?
I get it. Look,
come on now.
You can come out swinging. Look. The first Michael Jackson's first go around was the Off the Wall record. You can come out swinging.
I feel like the second half was the Isley came out swinging the second half of the show anyway.
It got better. But again, let's look at what was left off of the list. That's going to tell you.
So then it was more or less than Earth, Wind, and Fire didn't come to play against heavy hitters.
It's just too many. That's the curse of having a lot of records. You just don't know what to play. Look, it's the Babyface and Teddy Riley versus all over again. There's so many records that got left off.
Don't do that, because Babyface was throwing haymaker. He threw a overhand right.
That's all he got is haymakers. But I'm saying he didn't even play any of the Whitney Houston stuff. That's how many hits he has.
But that's what I'm saying. But if you still got that same amount in your bag, it don't matter if you do play them or you don't. You still can't touch the 20 I got in front of you.
I mean, again, there was a lot that Teddy Riley left off too, but he ain't competing against Babyface. Babyface and Quincy would probably been a better mashup, better versus, because Quincy got hits for days.
Oh yeah, but he got what is it? He got international hits. He got hits on a different level.
I'll take Let's Groove Tonight over September. Again, that's a September. That's what I'm saying. The Ozzy Brothers started playing what made me think that the Contagious was a hit for them, and they didn't play Down Low because you can't give R. Kelly bad enough. R. Kelly wrote Contagious, and that was your hit for you, so you have to play that. But you can't play Down Low because R. Kelly's in the song. But the fact that they played the ones on Moran and his wife means to me.
When was that though?
That was like 2018.
No, but what I'm asking you was that in
towards the end? That was like when they did the back-to-back Mr. Big songs.
Right. So at that point, the regular 20 was already off. Look, at the end of the day, all I'm saying is this: even Ron said it himself because Steve got it. Steve was like, "Oh, I don't care about one of these young people want to hear. You know, it's about the." And Ron was like, "Hold up, we want them to dance to the song. Why? Because they still getting them residual checks when they
look. They getting residuals off of samples,
right? So you mean to tell me that you wouldn't that whole Contagious line is still ain't hitting somewhere?
I like the Contagious. I'm just saying. Let's go off what wasn't played. We got to get. That's what I'm saying. There was a lot more hits from Earth, Wind, and Fire left off than what the Ozzy Brothers had.
All right, CB, am I hearing this right? He wants to go off of Chicago's bench against the Lakers bench. Is that what
that's really what it sounds like, which is awesome.
That doesn't even compare. that doesn't even compare. Before we switch up, let's see when Jimmy taught Ernie. I mean, again, that doesn't measure up what was left off of the playlist. Look, I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff left off the playlist. Let's switch this up. All right. So let's wrap with this right here. So first of all, prayers to X and his family. So there's a lot going on right now with that. So for those who don't know, been living under a rock. DMX, Earl Simmons, was rushed to the hospital after ODing almost a week ago. And they said he went without oxygen for almost 30 minutes before they kind of resuscitated him back. He's right now. I mean, they're still saying there's grave conditions. He's in a coma. He has COVID on top of that. And, they did the brain responsiveness tests yesterday. And it's just, not much has changed.
Right.
And we know over the years that, X has been resilient. Like, he battled his demons. He stepped away for a little bit. He had a couple, he had some other issues, but he always bounced back. Almost like the Pac thing. Pac had his issues. He had some, but he always bounced back. And so this one, I kind of think it's rough because you just know, X is a fighter, right? And then when the word is going around that there's not much, fight left in the dog, you have to start preparing for another type of, thought process. But let's go around before we dig deeper into this.
It sucks, man, because at this point it really feels like we're just waiting for the news to drop. After they did the responsiveness test yesterday and they said that there really wasn't anything that had changed, it just doesn't make the situation seem very good. You know what I mean? So I think that we got to be giving people their flowers while they're still here, man. And we know that X has had plenty of his issues. We know that he's in the situation right now because he OD'd, and we know that that's something that he's fought for decades at this point, right? So, it's one of those things where it seems like 2020, 2021 it just keeps coming, bro. And we got to make sure that the people that need their flowers get them while they're still alive. You know what I mean? We don't want to keep losing people before we're ready to lose them,
I'm gonna say something that's probably going to sound really bad. I think I really don't care. I'll answer to that higher power later on. But I'd rather the rainbow haired kid, be gone than X, right? We have other X is one of those cats that you kind of need around. X's stories, just the stuff that he's been through. I mean, his life was rough, bro, and just the type of to understand who he was outside of just being the rapper. You know what I'm saying? Before he got there, it just hits different. You know, he was clearly for our age, like just coming out with the albums that he came out with, and just that whole Rough Rider era was crazy. A run that you probably not gonna see, you know, while or again, but yeah, man, you just kind of you hope the news kind of shifts, but like you said, the longer it goes on and goes on, you kind of, you know, like you said, it's kind of, you know, we're waiting just for that official news to drop, and then, you know, it is what it is, and then you'll have people, you know, you'll have the new age kids start listening to X and be like, oh, he was dope, and like, you know, we've been on this, you know,
right, right. And I found it interesting. Like I saw an interview that was released this week. I mean, I had never seen it before, and X was talking about. I guess he had just got out doing a bid from like juvie or whatever. He was like 14, anywhere between 14 and 16, and he was with this guy he looked up to who was in his late 20s or 30s, and they had just did something. They were splitting up some money. I mean, they were counting the money, and the dude, you know, X had said at that point like he didn't drink, he didn't smoke or whatever, but at that point that night, the dude gave him some weed that was laced with crack at 14 to 16. And you're taking it because this is somebody you trust. Somebody you look up to, you idolize, you trust. This is your right hand. And they did that to you. And that kind of shifted a lot at that point because, I mean, again, you know, we all know somebody, you know, dealing with addiction. Hell, we may deal with different types of addictions, whether it's alcohol, you know, gambling, whatever. We all deal with something, and you know, a huge support system is always good, you know. But then if you don't have one, it's even worse. But you know, then I think that, you know, people are throwing darts at the wrong time because you got a couple guys at Master P come out, you have Funk Master Flex come out saying, you know, this is everybody else's fault who didn't check in on them. Who didn't, you know, where were you at? Why didn't y'all do y'all part? And you can't do that now because, first of all, we saw X on Versus over the summer and he was clean. Swizzy had put that out there like, y'all making fun of X's weight and he out of breath, but dude is healthy and he's clean. Like, so he's, instead of doing whatever he's doing, he's just he's eating up a bunch of stuff. He's just, you know, he was drinking Kool-Aid that whole night, and I didn't see what he was drinking on the Drink Champs.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was actually drinking hard stuff on Drink Champs, but at that point, it's just like he could have had a good system around him, and still at the end of the day chose to do what he wanted to do. But it stings because it's like we've lived through this before, and it's almost like, you know, at this point, yeah, you're waiting on a miracle. You know, I don't know how long, you know, you can keep somebody, you know, in a coma, you know, in a vegetative state. I mean, I guess as long as the money's there, you can do whatever you want to do, and just hope one day that things may turn around. But it's just tough. Like, it's real. Like we look up to these rappers or whatever they are, these figures, and we put them on a whole nother platform of just idolizing or whatever, and they are just as human as we are.
So I want to get y'all take on something, and then not to take away from X in general, but Master P, right? Master P did the same thing with Lamar Odom, right? He got on there, he bashed everybody. Where was Kobe at? Where was this? And I'm like, the fact of the matter is, if that person don't want help, you can't force that on them. So for you to bash other people and make it seem like, because that's like almost saying like, well, where was Swiss at? Well, how you know Swiss didn't reach out to him and he was just like, I'm good. Okay, that's not we don't have to publicize every time we reach out to somebody, and if they fall, it's not our fault that they fell or that we didn't reach out to them. The circumstances won, right? It overcame them. But like you said, to publicly go out and be like, well, where were you, or where was this person? it's almost like the same question. Well, where was you at? You know what I mean? You almost want to get it back. Like, well, P, where was you at? You saw him flailing, or you saw him after the verses start to go down a different path. Why didn't you where was your investment in making sure this didn't happen? And they're always going to come back, and it's not on me, it's on everybody else around them. So it's like, why would you point that finger? But I feel like that's a tough thing to do. And I know P's done that before. Like, I'm sure that he's a good dude, but like when he threw that Lamar Odom one out and he like kind of hit like Kobe, he was like, "Yo, Kobe, where are you at? You wasn't helping him." And then just to find out that Kobe had always been reaching out to Lamar Odom, he just didn't accept the help. But you're not gonna respond to that though.
Right. It's easy to point the finger, to play the blame game. That's the easiest thing to do because it helps you cope. That it's not falling on you. And at the end of the day, as tragic as a lot of these stories have been, we as the person who may be dealing with these things have to want to deal with them as well. And there's a lot of scenarios that play out in these things. We've known situations, not just X, where help was coming and it was just a day too late. And, or the thought process sometimes could be, well, I've done this before. I'm going to bounce back again. And then just sometimes you don't know what, after putting your body through so much for over the years, your tolerance may not be the same as it used to be. And sometimes it won't take that much to trigger the OD or the heart attack on top of that, which is probably was probably worse out of the OD. Because if your heart, you can't, if your heart is not beating and pumping blood, it's just sad, man. I've been going, and the thing is, I can't think of X is on my gym playlist, so it hasn't gone a moment where I haven't listened to X at least once a month or twice a month. It's just there because there's so many songs that you just hear, and it's not all hard stuff. Like the song about his grandmother, "I Miss You," the prayers, like all that. Like X was all back in one piece with Aaliyah. X, it's tough. You can only just pray for just pray for the outcome. That's all you can do. Whatever it is, you just gotta pray for it because there's gonna be a lot of people affected one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of some of these.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and when you have the money, when it's you, I mean, and you may have a bunch of yes men around you. Again, I'm not talking about X in specific, but the other people in these situations when they have the power, they have the money, and you want to be around. You don't want to be the one that stops the money train because you're going against the grain. It's tough. Again, and who knows? It's tough. I mean, that we have to. Again, we've seen this play out before. And we just hope that, whatever's going to be is going to be regardless at this point. So
we know that people are going to do whatever they want to do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, speaking of prayer.
Hey, this is a good one this week, I promise.
Speaking of prayer, it's always good to pray for everybody and check in on them. But, right now, this is the Is It Just E segment. And by, past experiences, we know E is getting ready to come with something. And last week was actually pretty good. I didn't realize me and E agreed on it, which is, that's cool. I mean, actually, you know what? There's been a couple of times we've agreed. So it's nothing against it. We'll just see. So, all right, E, what you got for tonight?
Well, I guarantee you this one, it might not be an agreeable thing with everybody. If you can see what the illustration is, that is an Oreo cookie. I'm just going to get straight into it for the segment. Is it just E, or there's really only two ways to eat an Oreo cookie? the one way is to dunk the whole cookie in a glass of milk, right? The second way to eat the cookie is to extract one of the sides and eat it individually, right? Anybody who eats an Oreo whole without dunking it, without taking the sides off, automatically to me is a serial killer.
I was gonna say those people are psychos, yo.
There's like understand when look at my face. Like it gets me mad when I see people eat Oreos as if it's a regular, like if it's a chocolate chip cookie, like they just bite into it. I'm so upset. If you,
All right, so what if it's like an Oreo thin?
I don't,
and like you know, you don't want to break it apart because it's gonna break in half or crumble. Like
that sounds
asking for a friend.
That's a problem. That's a personal problem. Either if it's gonna break up, you might as well throw it in the milk cup anyway, and just have it at the bottom and scoop it out with your spoon after the fact.
That homemade cookie crisp.
Correct.
Okay, so let's take this a little further.
Go ahead.
What's the best Oreo?
I don't care. This is so plain and straight up. I don't care if it was the mint kind. I don't care if it was.
No, I'm saying, what's your favorite? What's the best Oreo out there?
I mean, for me, it's still. You know what? I'm partial to the golden pack.
I don't nor separate.
I feel like the golden pack is overtaking the classic, but you know you can't go wrong with the classic. It was a great snack, but at the end of the day,
the way I want to answer this question, I'm not mature enough to say it and not like really laugh really hard about it, because
say what you got to say.
For one, I'm always going to choose double stuff. And the reason why, I'm glad Superfly isn't here because he would lose it. The more cream, the better in this specific instance. And yeah, you're either dunking it in milk or you're doing surgery and you got the one side with all the goodness and then you got just a chocolate cookie on the other side. And you know that those family members are safe.
I totally agree with you. It really does. Like I literally, and I'll throw them out there. Pops had a, you know, the little snack pack of Oreos, and I vividly remember sitting on the sideline watching how he was about to eat the cookie. And when this nigga bit it regular, I said, "You are such the serial killer right now that I don't understand how this is happening." And he was like, "What?" I said, "You're eating an Oreo like it's a regular cookie." It bothered me, and I told
disrespectful.
It very, very much so. I told him I don't ever want to see you eat Oreos again.
Been banned from Oreos. And the thing is like in the Burkaw household, we routinely, this is pre-COVID when we were going and trying to, wasn't worrying about like having all the healthy snacks in the house since we weren't going out as much. It was regular for us to have 2 packs worth of Oreos in the crib. Like, and it's talk about danger. On the weekends when it's party time, me and my brother throwing back a couple of drinks, doing nothing but playing video games, it becomes really easy to knock down an entire sleeve. It ends up like you got to restrain yourself. And we couldn't buy enough almond milk, bro. So it's actually been one of those things where we've had to keep them out of the house because they won't last. That's just how it is.
Oreos or Thin Mints?
Oreos.
I'm still going Oreos, but Thin Mints are my favorite Girl Scout cookie.
Facts. You got to leave them in that category of just Girl Scout cookies. But you know, if you were going to sit there, depending on what it is, at the end of the day, you copping the Oreos though.
Because the that chocolatey outer layer doesn't allow the milk to penetrate. You know what I mean?
It's the science behind this. I'm trying to tell you. There's a reason why this is a segment. And Clay,
Literally science.
We understand you quiet because you clearly eat Oreos like a serial killer. So.
No, I didn't say that. I asked about the thins because the thins, you can't.
You can still dunk the thins though. Like you can, like, so you still have another out. So if you're specifically choosing to just dry eat, to just go raw in the thins, you know what I mean? Like, hey, bro. Or if you're seeing family members doing it.
I know what she's talking about. I have. I know what she's talking about.
But yeah, man, Oreos are undefeated as long as you're eating them right.
Oh,
then,
ooh.
See, back in the office, if we had someone going around doing Girl Scout cookies, I would just ask Roy to buy me a box of Thin Mints since I know she's not going to eat them. Give them to, send them to a home where they can be loved and taken care of. Thin Mints are still they're still the GOAT. Like, they're just the GOAT for Girl Scout cookies.
Yep. He came back a little fast. I was gonna hit that button again because I thought he needed more time. I thought he needed more time. So he got 5 comments that quick. A lot of them are probably telling me not to hit the button again. Fire. Wow. He is. He had a whole website and everything. Thanks for the comment. All right, so let me set you up right, CB. My bad. A little bit behind the 8 ball tonight.
You're good.
All right, so this is what we got, CB.
So, everybody here in the chat remembers a few weeks ago, the freshwater Griffies came back, and they sold out immediately. Well, Nike knows that the model is hot. So not only in a couple weeks do they have a blue pair that's coming out on April 24th, that Saturday, they're doing a Jackie Robinson tribute version of the Griffies. And these joints are dope.
The graphics, the writing on that, my God, ridiculous.
Yeah, like these look dope, and it's one of those things where like the model itself is on the list for me to grab this year. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific colorway. We know how it was trying to get the freshwaters and everything, so I'm not getting my hopes up, but like these joints are crazy. So I would love to snag a pair of these. They're going to be $170, and you're talking about combining arguably my favorite baseball player of all time, Ken Griffey Jr., and one of his, his sports idols, for himself, Jackie Robinson. Like, come on, man. To me, this is a cop.
It's a cop for me too. Again, as I put the pictures together, the second picture has all the writing etched on it. You really can't see it, but it's absolutely. I try to get there too. It's absolutely fire. It's a plain silhouette. It's plain colors, but I mean, there's so much you can do. That shoe has a lot of details in it, and the insoles have 4 and 2 written on the insole. So,
definitely a cop. Understand this collab should have happened a long time ago. Oh my God, this and hopefully Nike understands that there's some more baseball collabs that definitely need to happen. This is definitely on the radar. Again, sneaker app. We had the conversation earlier, fellas, where we're getting W's on StockX
for the upcharge. That's the only way you can get it.
So, but yeah, definitely a cop.
Yep. Who's up? Who wants to go first?
I'll go ahead and knock it out.
All right.
Well, I might have showed them before. Don't care. But you know, we're all about, you know, in the present time as far as what, you know, what's going on. So in honor of the Masters that started today, I'm gonna go ahead and kick everybody with the
Ooh.
Jordan. Get a little fancy when we pull it out.
It's okay. There you go.
And these still to the day, like I said, the story, I saw them, had to cop them, but this is that one time where Pops really understood that the shoe game was serious when one of the groundskeepers that was in the golf cart stopped his golf cart while we were at the driving range to say, those are the dopest golf shoes that I've ever seen. So, yeah, you might as well be out there looking in style. The game is not up to par as a shoe, but we getting there, though, you know, so... yeah, and the leather is amazing on this. Just for
that looks like
yeah.
I mean, it's great, and I'm talking about I've got a few wears in this, and it's still pretty flawless. You know, shout out to Jordan to really making the shoe still, if you will, functional to an athlete, even though you're on the grass like that. You know what I mean? And it's still a good look. So always, Cleo, I know you remember way back in the day. I had even asked Pops like where was the collab coming from, or when was he gonna start putting out his golf shoes? And lo and behold, it wasn't too much.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Between these, and if I was still playing football, clearly you already know I'd be showing the football cleats that I've been I didn't play, but in one shoe, so you already know.
Dope. Let me see this guy. So a couple weeks ago, I mean, like, y'all know the box. You know the box.
Yeah.
You know the box. You know the silhouette. And I don't think I don't think I should. But the OGs.
Let's go.
OG Dreamers. This was the only colorway I wanted, and I was able to grab it.
That was on the restock, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man, and it looks, from the looks of the laces, that looks like you have not tried them on or anything yet.
Yeah, they still DS.
Yeah,
they still DS. And you know what? I'm out of it. I didn't realize this was the Puma logo right here. I just didn't realize that until later on when I got the twos, and I was like, wait a minute. And I looked, it's like, oh wow, the Puma logo is right there. So
kind of subtle.
Yep. Dreamers. Shout out to Cole and his Puma deal. But yeah, that's the only colorway I really cared about.
This is like, since we started doing the streams, I really have just not kept track of all the shoes that I've shown. So same thing. If I'm rehashing this, oh well, too bad. But these shoes specifically are special because when me and Kaleo did our first ever photo shoot, 4 photos for this podcast, these were one of the sneakers that I brought with me, which these are the Juice NMDs. Juice, one of the other, it's one of the stores connected to Edison Chen and Clot. So people see me, I got those Clot 14s, I got the Clot Air Max 1s behind me. This is not new to this. Got these, like, I think the Alien Naga design is dope. It's
did 3M on that somewhere? I'm sure.
I feel like all this is
3M.
pretty reflective. And at least on the outside of the Adidas stripes and everything. But these joints, if you look in the picture, my favorite picture from that photo shoot, where me and Kaleo were sitting on top of the edge of some like parking garage or whatever where we were at, and Kaleo's got his Wave Runners on, and I'm wearing those. And so one of those things that
absolutely,
like I was pumped when I finally got them, because those were a shoe that, of course, I missed out on when they released. And then we're actually like decently easy to get afterwards. But they will forever be tied to the podcast because of that photo shoot.
Photo shoot. Yep. Can't get rid of them.
Nope. They'll just be retired and go in the rafters at that point.
Absolutely. So yeah, we want to thank everybody for watching. CB, plug next week. We got something good next week, and I'm excited about this one.
Next week is going to be cool. My homie Earl Holman, who is one of the owners of Crooked Crab Brewery out in Odenton, Maryland, is going to join us. They got a fun beer that's going to be dropping in honor of. There's this one specific holiday here in April coming up, and it's associated with a flower that actually is very closely related to hops. So it ties in with beer really well, and it's going to be fun having one of the homies that, I go back years with at this point. So this should be a really fun show.
Nice. I want to thank everybody for watching, for chiming in. Always fun. And at this point, it'll be sooner than later. Then we'll be back on here on a Thursday. That right here. Thank you for watching.
We just need people to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your mom.
Bring friend. Yeah, exactly.
Tell an enemy, because if you're not going to listen, maybe they will. And,
somebody
whatever.
But yeah, we want to thank everybody. And we're still working on episode 100. We got something big for 100 coming up. So make sure you tell everybody to tune in. But yeah, that's it, y'all. We get something else.